And I have a request for this evening's talk on anger management. So if you're very angry at that subject, you must stay. Good. Okay. Okay, so here we go. Most people are in now. So someone asked me to talk on anger management. I'm sure I've given lots of talks on anger, but every now and again you give a different slant to the subject of anger. It's not one of my strong subjects I can talk about because, quite frankly, I don't get angry these days all that much, so I'm not really sure what I'm talking about. What is anger? But no, I can cast my mind back and what actually is anger and what happens and why do we get angry. And you all know, I think it's a given, that anger doesn't get you anywhere. It just creates some more tension, more ill will, more separation of people, and we feel bad about ourselves afterwards. So first of all, with anger, to see if you can avoid it. And if you can't avoid it and you are angry, then learning how to distance yourself from that experience so it can subside very quickly. But first of all, to avoid anger, number one, a very simple method of avoiding anger is actually to give yourself a bit more rest, because people have lost their resilience. People today are so tired. They're on the edge. They're like a fuse waiting to be lit, simply because they're so tired. They've rushed so much, they've striven so hard, and just one more thing, you just say one more thing and you explode. But you find that when you learn how to relax and find some ease in your body and mind, it's so hard to get angry. That's why when people go on a meditation retreat, or they learn a little bit of meditation, or they come here on a Friday night, and then something happens which would normally really upset you, and you just cannot be upset at all. Even that's one of the reasons why people come to learn how to relax their mind in meditation. Many, many times people have come here and they've told me afterwards they did not want to come. They were tired after a busy week at work. They just wanted to relax at home, and their children told them to come. Mummy, you must go to meditation. I'm too tired to go to meditation. Mummy, you must go to meditation. But I don't feel like it. Mummy, go to meditation. Why, darling? Because you're a much nicer, calmer, loving mummy when you come back home from your meditation. So often people have told me that because kids, they know that when you have lost your resilience, you just get on edge and small things upset you and create this terrible anger. But when you're relaxed, you don't rush around so much, when you feel more at ease, you tend not to get so angry. So that's the first thing with anger management. Please give yourself a break. It's a long weekend, apparently. So when you have a long weekend, why don't you enjoy it? Don't think, all these things I'm going to do this long weekend. Just think of all the things you're not going to do this weekend. Have a list of things I'm not going to do and tick them off one after the other. And when you've finished the list of things you're not going to do, when that's all finished, then you can do the other list of things you're going to have to do. Because it is really important that you don't just fix up your house, you fix up yourself first of all. What's the point of having a very tidy house when you have an untidy heart? What's the purpose of having a garden where everything is just beautiful when your heart is so angry and violent? So please fix up the garden inside the house in which you really live, in here first of all. Make that your priority this long weekend. And as I keep on saying, never ever do today what you can put off until tomorrow. Because you might die tonight. And that way you can enjoy your life. As I also saying on this long weekend, how about learning how to finally know what it's like to be a human being and not a human going? Are you a human being or a human going? We're always going somewhere, doing something so active that we get so tired, we lose our resilience, and that's one of the great reasons why we do get angry. So this weekend, out of compassion, not for yourself, out of compassion to all those people who have to put up with you, please give yourself a break and a rest, and then you'll find it's so hard to get angry at anybody when you're relaxed. You get resilience. Instead of being like this brittle thing, which a small thing makes it break, you become soft like a sack of wet mashed potatoes. You can hit it and it doesn't even just make any sound at all. It doesn't reverberate because it's soft. Have a mind like what I call like a padded cell. So when something hits it, it just goes squelch on the wall rather than bouncing back again. Have this mind which is so soft, people can call you anything, and you just smile like an idiot. It's much better to smile like an idiot. When people think monks are idiot like that, they call me all sorts of names. I just smile. But I'd rather be that than get angry back. So that's the first thing with anger. Give yourself a break, give yourself a rest. And number two is with anger management, please for goodness sake, lower your expectations. If you have high expectations, of your partner, of your children, if you have high expectation of your monks and nuns, you are going to be terribly disappointed. And then you start getting angry. You shouldn't say stupid jokes, Ajahn Brahm. You shouldn't tell all these ridiculous stories. Whatever it is, you'll find if you have high expectations, that's one of the great causes for getting angry. For goodness sake, lower your expectation of your wife. And your husband too. Because otherwise you get so upset. It's really strange. I still remember an occasion, it might be about 15 or 20 years ago. We had an old combi van which we used to drive up and down from our monastery in Serpentine here into Perth. And I was doing some business on Leach Highway. It's the 3 lanes going each way. And we came to this was in the Tonkin Highway, I remember. We came to the traffic lights, and because it was a hot day, we had a combi van, no aircon. We just had our window open. And I could hear the car which stopped just before we stopped at the red traffic light. Because I was in the passenger seat, and you could see the driver just maybe a foot, 2 foot away from me, swearing at the traffic light. You stupid traffic light. You've turned red again. You knew I was in a hurry. You knew I had an appointment to go. Why did you do this? It's not the first time you've done this. You've done this before when I really needed to get to my appointment. You bad traffic light. Have you seen people getting angry at traffic lights? Have you got angry at traffic lights? Look, I will tell you, traffic lights do not have any conscience. They haven't got some soul inside, let alone a malicious soul which sees you coming. It's she coming again. I know it's her. I'm going to really teach her a lesson this time. Let the car in front go through and get red just for you. And make it stay red longer than usual. All those traffic lights are totally automatic. So why do you get angry? Have you got angry at your computer? Stupid computer. Why do you keep crashing? Why don't you work? Why are you freezing? Look, it's not the computer's fault. There are many sentient beings in this world. Computers aren't one of them. So you can see you can get angry at these automatic processes like your husband. It's not his fault. That's what computers are like. That's what traffic lights, they do turn red. They just happen to turn red when, you are just coming to approach them. And they have no idea that you really need it to be green this time. Just like your husband, that's what he does. He comes home late, he forgets things. That's what husbands are like. They don't have it in for you. They don't just think, that she needs me to come home early tonight, I mustn't be late. I must remember to get these things up for her, and they forget. They don't do that on purpose. That's just what they're like. Ask your friends, compare notes. All husbands are the same. I keep telling you this, the girls are the same as well. Just that's what women are like. They get headaches. So don't ever think that you have got a defective model. That's what people do. They they swap their boyfriend or girlfriend for another one. They think they get a better one next time. It's not a better one. They often say it's the same engine, maybe a different chassis. That's the only difference. But the engine inside is the same. So when you understand, that's what husbands are like, that's what girls are like, that's what I am like, that's what you are like. That means you lower your expectations. And it's amazing when you lower your expectations, most of anger disappears. Look, how many of you get angry at politics? Come on, how long have you been alive? That's what politicians are like. Look, there's one of my favorite stories of politicians. A pre-selection for a safe seat somewhere in Australia. And there were 3 candidates. Once they interviewed everybody, the last 3 candidates. And so the people who were going to select who was going to stand for the election in this seat, they called in the candidates one after the other. The first one who came in, they said, we're going to ask each one of you the same question, a very simple question, and please tell us the answer. And the question is, what is 2 plus 2? And the first candidate got out his calculator, punched in the instructions, and he said 4. Very good. Don't call us, we'll call you. And they called in the second candidate. Same question to keep it fair. What is 2 plus 2? Straight away he said 4. Very good. Don't call us, we'll call you. And they asked the third candidate, what is 2 plus 2? And this candidate said, 2 plus 2 is whatever you tell me it is, boss. You've got the job. Which is what politicians are like sometimes. But why do we get angry at these people? Because we expect too much. We expect what they can never give us. A lot of suffering, including anger, is expecting from the world what it can never provide to you. Which is why we get angry when the world doesn't go according to our high expectations. We get angry when we lose our job. We get angry when we get cheated. We get angry when somebody dies in our family. It's part of the grieving process, being angry. Why do we do that? Traffic lights turn red. People die. People say the wrong things. People let you down. If you can only lower your expectations of life, then to fit what life can really give you, then you don't get angry anymore. When I first became boss monk of a monastery, I had all these high expectations of the monks. I've lowered them and lowered for the years. And that's a really nice monks. I'm happy with them now. They're good. And I've lowered my expectations of I can say this because no one's here, of the committee of the Buddhist Society of West Australia, so I'm happy with them. And I've lowered my expectations of you guys as well. I don't know how many times I keep saying, turn off your mobile phones. There's always one goes off. Now, I've got a choice. Should I get angry? Or should I just say, just mobile phones? So many people, one person's going to leave their mobile phone on. And look, you don't do it on purpose. It just happens. It's life. So, when you lower your expectations, a lot of your anger vanishes. And you work with life rather than against it. Getting angry at the mobile phone doesn't make it quiet. In fact, it makes more noise. It makes noise inside of you, which is the next story on dealing with anger. And this, again, sometimes people say, what was your training as a monk? Were you given these lectures? Did you have these wise monks who would just give you these incredible teachings and then you just remember them? How did you learn all this wisdom? And a lot of times it was learning just through the experiences of life, when we had a general feeling of, look, don't get angry. Anger is not a very wise or skillful response to the difficulties of life, and understanding where the anger came from. What we were taught is find out the causes of these things. Why you get angry. See, this is what a microphone does. Instead of getting angry and saying the person who's running this should actually turn the microphone down, it's really this amazing talk I'm giving, and it's being spoiled because, they can't hear it very clearly. But you don't get... Look, this particular story is one of, again, a famous one, but it's so powerful, was when... I'll just say it in brief because I'm sure you can remember this story of me getting angry because I was made to work just so hard, like a slave. This was a time just after my teacher Ajahn Chah had built a hall and he couldn't afford to use proper builders, and he had all this free labor, his monks. So after the hall was completed, it had this big pile of earth, big pile of dirt. And he asked us in the morning time, after we had our one meal a day, and it's usually just like frog on rice or a few beetle soup, and I'm not joking, this is sometimes what we had to eat, and only one meal a day. Finished about 9:30. Now, he said, I want you to move this big pile of earth from the place over here to the place over there. And that was 3 days of hard shoveling and pushing wheelbarrows. And that's not like in that beautiful cold... This morning we were doing some work, some concrete work, and I was pushing wheelbarrows of concrete. This monk saw me. He was really strong, but he's just from Norway, so he's used to pushing wheelbarrows up mountains or something like that. But it's good fun doing a bit of exercise every now and again. But this was much more than a bit of exercise. This was like 3 days of hard labour from 9:30 in the morning to about 9 o'clock at night. And this was in jungles. It's really hot and mosquitoes are just biting you to bits and it's really dirty. And you've nothing to eat at lunchtime or in the evening. You get really tired. But, I was a person who had a lot of faith and inspiration. If this was what my teacher wanted, I would do it for him. And so for 3 days, we finally finished. And that night, Ajahn Chah went to another monastery to visit. And the second monk, he brought all the monks together and said, I think you put it in the wrong place. We should move it somewhere else. And, it was... I was a reasonable fellow. You saw his argument. He had a point. It wasn't a good place to leave the earth. So another 3 days of hard work. After 6 days of hard work, I was really tired. My robes were all filthy, and I was feeling really filthy. And I really wanted to have a bit of a rest and do some meditation after 6 days solid hard work. And that night, Ajahn Chah came back. And in the morning, he brought all our monks together and for a little meeting after breakfast, after lunch, dinner, the only meal we had, call it what you like. And he said, I thought I told you to put the earth over there. Why is it over the other place? Move it. And at that point, I lost my faith. I was really angry. Look, and the senior monks, the ones who were telling us what to do, did they shovel, some earth? Did they push a wheelbarrow? No. They were just telling us what to do. And I got very angry. And it's righteous anger. They can't treat us like this. I didn't become a monk to be like some slave labour being exploited. If I'd have known some of the union people over here, like Ken MacDonald and a few other people, they'd have helped out. But anyway, no unions in monks in Thailand. So I got very angry. And of course, what do? You swear. That's just the way we let off steam. But I made sure I swore in English so the Thai monks wouldn't understand. But they did. They could see your body language. You were really upset. And that was when this one Thai monk came up to me. I forget who he was, but this brilliant piece of advice. And it was worth all those hard labour just to learn this one piece of wisdom. He said, pushing the wheelbarrow is easy. Thinking about it is the difficult part. And straight away, I got it. I stopped thinking, stopped complaining, and just pushed. And as soon as I did that, the wheelbarrow was much, much lighter. We had a wonderful time, joking, playing around with racing each other, whatever it was, just boys being boys, having fun. The next 3 days went past pretty quickly. We'd finished, and thank goodness they were happy where we left the earth after the end of it. But I just realized from that experience, just getting angry made the wheelbarrow much heavier and harder to push. What a stupid thing that was. And I realized life is very easy. Thinking about it is the hard part. And that's where you get angry. Just, the microphone, thinking about it is too noisy. It's great now, it's been fixed. But getting angry about it, that is the difficult part. So when you understand that, you realize just you don't need to get angry at life. It's not a very wise response. And you're just thinking too much and thinking with negativity. Just forget about it, just do it. And even sometimes the painful and difficult and unfair things of life, you can just do with no anger whatsoever. You just do it. When people do give you a hard time and make it difficult for you, sometimes you realize, wonderful, if they leave me to do all that work, because that's the other reason why we think we get angry. We think it's unfair. Why is it always me who has to clean the toilets? And I realize, wow, it's because I am the lucky one. I get to make all the good karma. When you look upon it as in the idea of karma, If it's really difficult, you get landed with things. You have to do the hard work. No one else is doing it. Great, I can make the good karma. You guys have missed out. If you look upon it that way, again, there's no way you will ever get angry. So if people let you do all the hard lifting of life, in your house, if it's always you who has to clean up, do the dishes, wash the floor, and all this other stuff, while all the other people in your house are just so lazy, they don't lift a finger. Don't get angry at them. Thank them. Oh, I can do all the good karma in the house. Thank you so much. Because I try and teach that here. A lot of times, people just don't clean up after, you come here, use this place, you don't clean the dishes, you don't sort of put things away after you, make yourself a cup of tea. Great. You're so kind, not cleaning up afterwards. So there's a few other people. We can make all the good karma. You're missing out. There's no need to get angry. But the next thing is, if you do get angry, then what can you do about it? First of all, prevention, obviously. But if you do get angry, someone really, really upsets you, what to do? And this piece of advice came from my teacher, a very wise piece of advice. Next time you're really, really angry, you really lost it, get out a clock like this. Sit down, put the clock in front of you, and see how long you can be angry for. See if you can beat your record. So what you're actually doing there is actually you're objectifying. You're putting anger out here and you're just watching yourself being angry. And that's a very brilliant little trick of stopping yourself getting angry. You can try that. Next time you're really angry, get a clock out or whatever, your iPhone, time yourself. See how long you'll be angry for. Number one, you're showing it's not going to last. And number two is actually you're objectifying it. Sometimes I like to use the simile of watching a movie. It's a long time since I watched a movie in the movie theatres because monks aren't allowed to do that anymore. We're not allowed to go to cinema. But I remember going to those cinemas in the past and sitting in the theatre and watching this big screen. And I was amazed just how people get so involved in what's going on that screen. So involved. There may be some horror movie, some monster is creeping up, usually this beautiful girl, and about to sort of do terrible things to her. And so often, actually beautiful boys don't get it, it's always the beautiful girls. Is that still the same these days? Very sexist, but anyway, the monster, was usually a male, is creeping up on the girl, and there's always was somebody in the audience, in the theatre, would shout out, "Look out behind you!" How stupid that was. It was a movie, okay? Those weren't real people on the screen. If you think that's stupid, this weekend, maybe your husband is watching the football on the TV, and they're saying, "Kick the ball, stupid!" Look, you're home in your house. The football match may be in Subiaco Oval. They won't be able to hear you. But you can see just how we get involved in just what's going on in the movie theatre. We like to get upset. We like to get emotionally connected to the movie. We get angry. We get afraid. We get emotionally tied up. We start crying. That is where we get emotionally tied to life. It's okay if you really want to get involved in some of the positive emotions in life, but please, the negative emotions like fear and anger, see if you can look at what you're going through just like a movie. You're sitting on the seat, and the movie is out here somewhere. And that way it's much easier to separate yourself, the observer of life, not to get involved, and thereby you don't have to carry on with your anger. It's just a movie being played out. It's just, just a drama happening in your life. And you just watch it. Yeah, the movie will end. It will all pass. and you don't have to get so involved. That is called a little bit of detachment from what is happening. When you're involved, then you like to control. That is why you shout, "Look out behind you," or whatever else you shout out, in the movie. Pass the ball in the football match. Or catch it in the cricket. They cannot hear you, but you like to get involved. Even those people who watch the real match, you're in the stadium, in the stands. You may shout your whatever you like, but people on the field, they can hardly hear you. It's a waste of time, all of your shouting. But we do that because we like to get involved. If you can just detach a little bit, now you'll find it's much easier to control, the emotions. You can engage if you want to, you can sit back, and you can let go if you want to. You have that choice. To get angry or just to let it go. This is the most important point. When you have that detachment, that space, between you and whatever you experience, it is actually quite easy to let go. People often ask, how do we let go? And I always like to say, put space between you and whatever you experience, so you're not so involved. Imagine the space. Imagine like a movie theatre, or like watching the TV. You're on the couch. The TV is out there, maybe a few feet in front of you. You've got space between the two of you. And what you can actually do, you can imagine between you and what you're experiencing, between you and that boss who's shouting at you, between you and that experience, which is really unfair. Instead of putting anger between the two of you, you can put this beautiful kindness or wisdom or peace between you and whatever you're experiencing. It's just a way of using your perception to put between you and the object something different. I like that little simile of like a perceptual framework, especially when you may be afraid of somebody, or you're in a situation which is very scary, or maybe just you're going to see the doctor for the result of your biopsy, and you're really terrified. Is it a cancer? Is it not going to be a cancer? You can imagine there's the doctor and there's you, and a lot of time we put fear between us and the doctor. Try something different. Try and imagine putting things like peace, putting compassion, putting even confidence between you and the person who's interviewing you for a job. Here am I, there is the boss interviewing for me a job, and I imagine confidence between me and that person. Doing things like that helps overcome the emotional entanglement and gives you another option. Instead of having anger, to put something else between you and that person. Sometimes, again, the anger is because of past stuff. Remember that simile I said about the red traffic light? That person I remember who was arguing and getting angry at the traffic light, he said, "And this is not the first time you've turned red on me when I'm in a rush." How much of anger is we get stuff from the past because we want to justify our anger. We want to make ourselves feel right being angry at someone or angry at the traffic light. Which is why when you have anger, it is usually a little bit of a trial goes on, between you and that object of your anger. You have to make it feel that it's rational and it is deserved to be angry at that person. And so another way of managing anger is to have what we call a fair trial. A lot of time if you get angry at somebody, it is like a trial where you only have a prosecutor and no defense. Say it is, your boss. They've got no right to speak like that to me. And you try and justify it. That boss shouldn't speak like that. They are just really cruel. They are just so, don't they know how much I've worked hard for this? You always try and get more evidence to justify why you should be angry to that person. How about having a defense attorney in that trial? In other words, oh, that poor boss, he must be very tired. He's had a very busy day today. Maybe he had an argument with his wife this morning. Maybe he's got a migraine. See if you can deliberately, when you're about to get angry at your husband, say, try to find some mitigating factors. He must be crazy. He's mad. He must be going through the male equivalent of menopause. Whatever it is, try and find some mitigating evidence. So you cannot just judge him just one-sidedly. This little story I read a long time ago is emphasizing what I mean here of just having a fair trial before you get angry at people. This was a story which I read of a funeral service where the widow of this old man who had died, when she was giving the eulogy, where they tried to say a few words about the person who's died and some of the important things which happened to them in their life. And during the eulogy, the widow, she held up half a sheet of paper. And she said, my husband got this sheet of paper, when he was at a grade school, before I ever met him. And this piece of paper he'd kept in his wallet all his life. And it saved him from getting angry so many times. And he told me the story of it. And he said that when he was in grade school, there was a big argument with two factions of boys, and it got so bad in the classroom, there was about to be, a fight. And the teacher ordered them, sit down and get out your exercise books. In those days, the discipline was strong enough, they would actually follow what the teachers said. Maybe these days, be chancing your luck. But anyway, they had to sit down. They were really angry. The fight would probably be delayed until after the recess. But they had to get out their exercise books. And the teacher said, tear out one sheet from your books. Get out a ruler and draw a vertical line down the middle. On the top of the paper, put down the name of the boy in this class you hate the most. And they all did that very easily. Now, on the left-hand side of that line, write down the reason why you're so angry at them. And they did that. Now, said the teacher, on the other side of that line, on the right-hand side, write down some things you respect about that person, things you admire about them. That was a very difficult thing for them to do. It took them a long time, but they had to complete that. Now, said the teacher, fold that piece of paper in half along that line. Tear it down that line very carefully. I'm now going to come round with a trash can. The left-hand sides, put in the trash can. The right-hand sides, with the reason you admire that boy who's your biggest enemy, go and hand it to them. And the widow said, this is a piece of paper my husband got from the boy who was his biggest enemy in that class, the one who hated him the most, who was so angry at him, saying all the things he admired in my husband. And he kept that with him all his life to stop him getting angry. Because whenever you're angry, you only ever see one half of the sheet of paper, the left-hand side, with all the reasons why your anger is deserved, why that person, deserves, to be rejected, to be even hit, to be punished. It's very easy to have that half. If you want to overcome anger, imagine the other half of the paper, the mitigating factors, the things you admire in that person, the good parts. For a long time now, I wanted to get Julia Gillard and Tony Abbott to sit down and get that piece of paper, tear it in half, the things they hate about each other to throw in the trash can, and the things they like about each other to publish in the Australian newspaper. Or whatever. Because that way, what you're doing, you're overcoming anger by seeing the other side. Seeing the mitigating factors. That people are human beings and sometimes we do the wrong thing, sometimes we make mistakes, we do the wrong decisions. So please, if we see the other side, we don't get angry. To emphasize the point, how many times people have been angry at you? Was that deserved? They get angry at you, but they don't understand. You didn't mean that. That was not what you intended. There was no bad feeling there, but still, that's what they see because they will not admit the other side of the sheet of paper. Has it happened to you? Has it been fair? Answer is no. So if you want people not to get angry at you, do the same. See the other side of that sheet of paper. Maybe your husband, your wife, whatever they've done, see the other side. They're good qualities, and then it's very difficult to get angry. What happens when you have this trial, the prosecutor and the defense, you always come to an open verdict. You can't get angry at them. You just don't know why they did that. Please leave it alone. It's again called a little bit of forgiveness, letting it go. Anger is not the right way. So the last bit of anger is again anger at yourself. I have to keep mentioning that because when you learn not to get angry at yourself, then you won't get angry at other people. A lot of times you can tell sort of how a person regards themselves by how they treat others. If a person is really kind to others, a lot of times they're very kind to themselves. I mean really kind, sincerely kind, not just playing around. When people are angry at others, are usually very angry at themselves. It's because of that. I remember once His Holiness the Dalai Lama said, if you've got a boss at work who's always really angry at you, have compassion for them. Because you only have to put up with them for maybe 40 hours a week. They have to live with themselves 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's a very good reflection. Because people who are angry at others are always angry at themselves. And they have a very, very difficult life. So, to overcome your anger, try not to be angry at yourself. Learn how to let go of the hurt, to forgive. And I mentioned this to someone a little bit earlier on how to forgive, because they were saying there was some person who did something wrong to them and it's really hard to forgive them. And I told them to please, I'm just developing a story I've been saying over the last 3 or 4 weeks, go into the forest, find a crooked tree, and forgive that tree for being crooked. Actually do that. Now what you think, I'm stupid. What am I forgiving a tree for being crooked? It's beautiful when it's crooked. It's beautiful when it's all over the place with a bad bark. All trees, natural trees, as I keep on saying, are damaged goods. That's why they're beautiful. So go and forgive a damaged tree. And then maybe you realize why it's important and how you can forgive damaged, crooked people. And then why you should forgive damaged, crooked me. What you're doing there is realizing you don't have to be perfect to be beautiful. You don't have to be perfect sort of to be forgiven. And if you can just forgive yourself, again, you're lowering expectations and seeing beauty in crooked trees. You're seeing beauty in other people, beauty in yourself, which means you're not fighting the world anymore. You're accepting this world, being at peace with this world, not trying to change this world, but changing your attitude to this world, which means you're not angry at this world anymore. You're not angry at yourself, you're not angry at other people. The biggest, deepest cause of anger is overcome. Angry, you're thinking the world should be something different. It's always because we're controllers. Control freaks. Instead of being a control freak, let things be. And how do you let things be again? If you can change things, fine, but a lot of times you can't. I was writing this story a couple of days ago. You know water buffalo in Thailand? They don't really have that many water buffalo left because now they've got tractors. But in the old days, this is 40 years ago when I first became a monk, you know, the water buffalo would be under the house of every villager, was part of the family, and they would use those water buffalo to plough the fields, and the excrement was the fertilizer they used for the fields. It was a very natural, environmentally friendly way of farming. And those water buffalo were some of the most docile beings you could ever imagine. During the hot days of the hot season, you'd see these little kids falling asleep on the back of these water buffalo while they were grazing. So safe, except a few times a water buffalo got spooked. And I saw that a few times. When the water buffalo got frightened, they'd lift their head up high. Instead of always being looking at the grass, they'd lift their head up high and they'd snort, and the next thing they'd do is run in any direction. And when they started running, they were very, very dangerous. You had to get out of the way. And sometimes people were gored by the water buffalo running because water buffalo didn't know what they were doing. They were just panicking. And one day, this farmer was taking his water buffalo past the monastery where we were living. And the water buffalo saw something in the forest which spooked it and was about to run away, lifted up its head and started snorting. The farmer realized what was going to happen, so he actually got hold of the little rope which was tied loosely around the water buffalo's neck to try and restrain it. It's a stupid thing to do, because the water buffalo ran off. The string tied itself around the man's finger and took the finger off with it. And we saw that because this poor guy came into the monastery with half a finger with blood all over his hand. And the top of the flesh of the finger had come off. And of course, we took him to the hospital to get patched up. Now he was fine. It was actually very easy to scratch his head after that with a stump. But, it just very painful, very unpleasant to look at. But he was fine. But we often use that simile. What a stupid thing it is to try and hold back a water buffalo. Let it go. It's going to be stronger than you. So please, let it go. Otherwise it takes off your finger, metaphorically. If you just let it go, the water buffalo only goes a little way and it calms down. So if someone is misbehaving, don't get angry at them. Just let them do whatever they want. When they calm down, then you can just pull them back again. That works very good with wives. Just let her, when she's calmed down, then you can rein her in. But when she's on full throttle, you try and rein her in, you lose many fingers. And the same thing which happens to bosses and other people as well. So a lot of times that when a person is very angry at you, they're shouting, please just leave them alone. When they've calmed down, then you can speak to them. Getting angry back at them, does that really help at all? Absolutely not. So if your husbands get angry at you, or your wives get angry, or whoever gets angry at you, just leave them alone for a while. When they've calmed down, let them go. When they've calmed down, then you can rein them in and find out what's going on. And that way you can be a person who does not use anger as a tool to control other people or to react to the things in life. And when you aren't a person who gets angry, you'll find, just like me, you'll put on weight, because when you don't worry and get anxious and get angry, you don't use up so many calories. I'm really trying to find reasons to get more anxious in life or more angry, because if I did, apparently that's what happens. Anxiety, actually, you burn up lots of calories. Anger, you really burn up a lot of calories. So that's why, like, good monks are fat. We can't do anything about it. We're just too peaceful and calm. We just don't waste energy. We're really efficient. But I'd rather be fat and peaceful than be really thin and angry and anxious. So it's a much more peaceful life you're living, and people respect you much more when you don't get upset and angry. Anger doesn't get you anywhere. So many times, this happens very often because I go traveling a lot, so many times, that aircraft are delayed. It is, it's part of life. It doesn't matter what sort of airline you have, there's always going to be some reason why an aircraft can't take off on the time you expect it to take off. And I've seen so many people. I remember this one time I was flying Garuda over to Indonesia, and we got to the airport and it was announced the flight was delayed for 24 hours. And I saw many people go up to the counter, and this poor lady was just representing the airline. They were banging on the counter. You can't do this to me. I've got an appointment. I've got to get there. And all their anger, did it make the aircraft come any sooner? No, it just made them have sore hands, that's all. And I did actually find out it was nature. Sometimes the aircraft are late. That was the time of the bird flu epidemic, and Garuda is a bird. It got bird flu, so that's why it couldn't come to Perth. That was... There's always something which happens. So does anger get at you anywhere? Absolutely not. Except it just gets you very tense, high blood pressure, much closer to death, and also it means you don't really enjoy life. So to sum up the talk which I was giving today, great ways of overcoming anger. First of all, avoid it. Please rest. Have a bit of peace, especially on this long weekend. Meditate if you like, so you get stronger resilience. Things don't upset you as much as they upset other people. You're softer rather than so brittle. One thing just makes you really upset and angry. And number two, I'm going in the wrong order over here. If you are angry, remember that piece of paper simile. You are just judging people one-sidedly. It takes effort. It's a very hard thing to do, to see the other side. See that other side of, imagine giving people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe because they're feeling very tired. Maybe because they got a migraine. Maybe because terrible things have happened to them today. Give them that benefit of the doubt, which means you can't get angry at them anymore. Little things like that will mean that you're a person who has more peace in life. And when you don't get angry at other people, you have much better friends, much better relationships. You can actually love each other and have some peace and harmony in this life. And especially in the bigger picture, we can have harmony between different peoples, different races, different genders, different religions. Anger is what separates us, creates this terrible resentment, ill will, and eventually violence. And that's not a way to live in our world. So that's a little talk on anger management for this evening. Thank you. Okay, now, are there any comments or questions? Because apparently we have no questions from overseas today. The internet is not able to take the questions from overseas. Anyone got any questions about anger management from here? Oh, come on. Okay. At the back, yes. Can anger be? Is there any time when anger can be useful to us? It can appear that anger is useful to you because, you get people under control. You can shout at them. But it gives instant results but long-term problems. Because a lot of times anger just instills fear in other people. So yeah, they'll behave when you're around. But when you're not there, they'll be back to their normal, terrible selves. Shouting at people is not really the best way. Yeah, violence sometimes works temporarily. But in the long term, we just get more problems. So basically, I've never seen anger work. That's one of the great things with Buddhism. It is a very non-violent religion. A few times Buddhists have been violent, and we think, oh, what are you doing? You're not really representing the Buddhist teachings at all. You actually just, we don't condone that. There's other ways of solving conflict in our world, not through violence. Yeah, you can have a war and you can solve the problem temporarily, it seems, but it just simmers under the surface and boils up again afterwards. War after war after war. Anger, violence, more anger, more violence. It just keeps on going. So there must be another way, and there is another way. It takes more effort, takes more time. Again, that simile of the piece of paper. See the other side of the enemy. You see the other side, and maybe there can be some resolution. Anyway, thanks. I've never seen anger ever solve any problem. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've never seen it. Yes? Ha 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 ha. What would you say to people when they say, if you're angry, let it all out? You can actually ask those two people who killed that soldier in the London streets. They were very angry. They let it all out, and that's what happens. You get violence. When you get angry so much, you totally lose control, and you cause so much pain. You kill people. You're violent. You damage people. Do we really want to let it all out? We have to always have restraint. I'm sure that there's a few times that you may have got angry so much you think, I want to kill that person. And if you had a gun or a knife, you may have done that. I know many people, in prison, have had the anger problems, and unfortunately there has been a weapon available for them. And they've seriously injured or even killed someone. So that's when anger just really goes berserk, and you're in a place where you can do a lot of damage. You're out of control. You lose it totally. And that may mean rest of your life in jail. Not only that, but you've got this terrible remorse of what you've done to somebody else and their family. It's not a good thing to let it out. It's dangerous. Any other questions anyone has? Yes, go on, Eddie.
Ajahn Brahm, can I share something on the mitigation part of anger?
No. No, you can't share.
Apparently...
I know he will anyway, so go on.
Apparently, there's something in the suttas mentioned about the mitigation part of anger, I'll now share with you my experience.
Go on.
Quite some time ago, when I first started Buddhism, there was one evening when I received a telephone call from this lady. You know her, Ajahn Brahm, if you mention her name, yeah. She said, Eddie, the Buddha said, if you have any problem or anger with someone, don't keep that to heart, Talk it out, So now I'm not going to keep it to heart, I'm going to talk it out with you. She said very nicely, I said, what is it? And then she was telling me, why do you say this about me, blah, 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 the thing, That came to my mind, I said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. It was just a joke, Apparently someone put fires in it, yeah. And then after talking all these things, and then it solved the problem. It did, And that stays with me, in my mind all the time. It's hard to try, but sometimes I did try, see. The Buddha says, if there's any problem, you have any problem with anybody or any anger, don't keep to heart, talk it out. It worked.
Yeah, very good. I think Mr. Obama and the Taliban should talk it out. It's actually getting to that place where you can trust each other enough to talk it out. That's one of the most difficult things to do. And sometimes that's why you do need a mediator, because sometimes if your anger really gets too much, then you're afraid of each other. And again, when saying that simile of what you put between you and the person, sometimes it may be just an ex, or you maybe not quite an ex yet, but a potential ex-partner. You're having a very difficult marriage. Sometimes when you see your wife, you see your husband, straight away you're angry, and that's what you get back. You put anger between you and that partner, and that's what they give you back. So if you can look at your partner having a difficult time, please put some love, some kindness, some peace between you and that person, and then that's what will come back to you. What you put between you and another person is what you see. If you expect anger, you get anger back. If you expect fear, you get fear back. So put a bit of kindness, a bit of love, and then that's what you get back. Okay, so I think that's enough for today. It's 9 o'clock, so thank you for all coming. We can now pay our respects to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And if you didn't like the talk, please don't get angry at me.